Okay, I'm kicking off this go live thing, so hopefully it's in action. I'll leave the basic chat over here, and yeah, I'll get into it. So yeah, first goal was to talk about the PETSCII graphics, and or maybe just talk about, for those that don't know what I was attempting. Um, I wanted to make like a karateka-like game with simple PETSCII block graphics, so no actual PETSCII chars, just like reverse space characters of different colors. And I'm hoping this could be a community project if others are interested in doing this. I know I don't have that much free time, but if others, especially basic programmers, if you want to cut your teeth on something and you want to join forces on this, yeah, I'm happy to join forces with you. Um, but yeah, the goal was to just keep it simple. I know we don't have much spare time, so we don't have to be the best artists or the best musicians or the best programmers. Just sort of dabble with whatever minimalist skills we have and just come up with something cute and entertaining, and that's sufficient, really. Um, so, what's my, yeah, so the PETSCII graphics. So yeah, the hope was to make this all like parallax scrolling, and on a previous stream you saw that in action, but maybe some were wondering how those layers were created, and that's a small tool I wrote back in the Xanadu demo was called Grab, and I used that for the initial animations inside the Xanadu basic demo of the chap, painting and the pesky sort of animations of him cutting up the artwork. But yeah, so in this program, I just had to update it to work with 80 by 50 mode. So when I run this grab, it's pretty minimalist tool. It's just saying here there's 7 blocks in memory. The blocks I was starting at around bank 4, around 2000, so already, 2000 bytes, or sorry, hex bytes have been consumed. And I can take a look at those. I think I can. So this is the first block or the first frame. If I move to the next one, that's the next one, and the next one, and the next one, next one, next one, next one. And yeah, so the aim was to try and these are, let's say, the grab tool will drop these all into that bank 4 memory, and from there I'll later save it to a file. But maybe just to get a feel for how grab would work, like the idea being if you were to dabble like control 9 to put it in reverse character mode. That's how I was drawing the mountains. I would have done like the mega key or pick a gray or something like that. And with the control 9 on for the reverse, I would have sort of made some sort of outline like that, just sort of press the space bar, move the cursor keys around, and it just sort of made some sort of random mountain-like pattern up and down as I please. And then once I'm ready to sort of preserve something like that, I would have run the grab tool, and then it already says it's up to block count 7. But if I want to preserve another one, I'd move this little arrow pointer with the cursor keys. I press the space bar to make like a top position to retrieve or to store from, and like I'd press spacebar again for a bottom position. So just imagine a rectangle preserving the entire thing, and now it says block count is 8, so it's preserved that. So if I was to run grab again, and if I was to go through all the blocks it has, you'll see there's now a block like that, which I won't keep, of course. But yeah, from there I would have loaded blocks. If you take a look at the I think I had like a dat file where I saved it out to dat or bin. Oh, maybe it was a bin file. Bin file. Yeah, this layers.bin. So that's really just saving that bank 4 data that was put there by this grab tool. And later on inside I'll do full screen because I know it's hard to see. Inside here, if I do Alt F to search for it, so I'm looking for layers.bin. Can't find it. I was pretty sure. Oh, I'm in the wrong file. This is line.l. So I'll press F1 to load to something else. Foot.l, which is this foot code. It's not found. Ah, why not? That's awful. Pretty sure it was on this disk, but maybe I'm wrong. So escape from here. Okay, is here. Foot L back. What happened to foot L? Did I lose it? VIR foot. There's a foot L back. Maybe it almost got lost, perhaps. L. Hopefully I didn't lose anything, but I mean I got it in GitHub anyway. But go back in there and load it up again. So F1 foot.l. Alright, decided to load it. That's good. Where did we last leave it with the draw PETSCII frames? Um, draw PETSCII frame. Hasn't. Is there something buggy about it? Maybe. There's something buggy about this. Oh, page down is the Alt key and arrow down. That'll page down for you. And Alt up is page up. So yeah, if you need page up and page down in 11, that's how it's done. Yeah, I'm not sure why. PETSCII frames. I feel like something has gone amiss with this. Yeah, I don't trust this file. Yeah, I'll just live streams. Yeah, unfortunately, it's hard to make everything nice and easier. This will write the current foot 11 onto the disk. Delete the yeah. All right. What I've got here is the latest. So, all right. So if I were to exit out of this thing and I'll push across, what was it again? It was called 2D81. It as a make 2D81. Right, it wrote a new foot.l in there. If I boot back in and load this new foot.l, can I go to that draw PETSCII frame? Yeah, that behaved itself. I think the old one got corrupted for some reason. Not sure why. But yes, at least that's very encouraging that it's a good idea to put things in GitHub whenever you can to make sure you don't lose anything. So that's where I last left it. So yeah, the hope now was to, well, I'll just press F5, make sure it's still running. To kind of explain again the current state of play with how this is getting drawn. Okay, if I just to run stop it now. So yeah, each one of these lines was going to be two DMA calls depending on where the offset in the loop over is. So let's say the start of the line was actually here, and so I'll just pretend with the shift install sort of thing. So it's like every time we want to move the scenery across, one part of the DMA call will be this stuff from this point onwards, and the other part will be the leftover stuff. So there'll be, the more this goes this way, the more of this second DMA call will have to draw this other stuff along. So then the thought was, instead of having two DMA calls per line, could we instead in memory have each line in some sort of hidden buffer drawn twice in a row, so that if I wanted to pick from this point, I go from this point and AT characters on into that second copy, and that way I wouldn't need to do two DMA calls. So yeah, that's the gist of it. As for, will I have the mental capacity to make that happen? I don't know. Um, I do feel tired. I draw a PETSCII frame. We load data. Oh, here's that layers.bin that we're loading, and I'm loading it into that address. And at the start of this file, if I press F7 and go to this PETSCII var, that's a label towards the top. I think just above it, maybe. Yeah, I've described what I'm making use of those banks for. So bank 4 has this DMA list structure, if you will call it that, to prepare for that DMA call later on. Bank 4 at offset 800, that's got the current screen memory. So that's something that the new basic ROM, it puts screen memory for the 80 by 50 character mode into this bank 4. Normally it's in bank 0 when you're in 80 by 25 mode, but now when it needs to do the 80 by 50, they push it to bank 4 instead. So I skip over that region and just let the ROM do its thing for screen memory there. But then when I load the layers.bin file, I load it into bank 4 at this offset 2000. So that's where all those layers are going. Bank 5, currently I've got my sort of off-screen buffer, which will store the characters that I'll put onto the screen later. I just sort of put them in this off-screen buffer first, layer by layer, and later I copy that onto the screen memory in bank 4 here. As for this offset, bank 5 at offset 1000, that's my off-screen buffer of what the color RAM ought to be. So there's another location, a bit like screen memory, that doesn't contain the characters, but it contains the color of that character. So that's my off-screen buffer for that, where I pump all the layer information into that layer by layer, and when it's ready I copy this across en masse into where the real color RAM is located. So from here on it's free, so maybe this is the point where I could add some more stuff just for more keyboard shortcut, talking through things. To get to the end of a line, escape K, front of a line, escape J. So if I wanted to add a new line, I tend to go escape K and then return or enter. So yeah, comments in 11 are the single quote. So maybe 5 to 100 can be this, what do we call it, doubled up, what would we call it, doubled up layers buffer. Um, I don't know how much that'll take, but maybe I'll just delete this line for now, which I'll do with the escape D. As for the format they're in, I think we can learn more about the format when we look at load data, that label here. Yeah, I borrowed that from that. We talk about, oh, init PETSCII frames, maybe that might be the one. So F7, init PETSCII frames. So I believe that's looking at the start of where that layers.bin was located. So in the first byte, it's peeking that byte there and says that's the maximum number of frames, like we saw it had 7 blocks or 8 blocks or whatever it was, that's that. And then I increment this data pointer from that bank 4 2000 to bank 4 offset 2001 to see what's the next byte along. And while I'm keeping a frame index, like currently we're looking at frame 0, are we less than the max frames of 7 or whatever it was, then we'll just keep looping through here until we've read the details of all the frames. So what are we reading? On the next byte along, we read for this frame index. Oh, it's like storing where in this bank 4 does the information for this frame begin. The chunk of, okay, it's at this address, let's say currently now bank 4 2001. So the next thing we read is a data address, which is the next byte along. I don't know what that. Oh no, what am I saying? No, this is incrementing by 2. Okay, right. Oh, because actually I don't know why. But we're reading the frame width, the frame height, and it takes me a while. And then after that, data address, increment the data address. And then we skip the following characters because after we specify the width and the height will be the characters of that layer. And how many characters are there? There's the number in the width times the number in the height. Oh, the times 2 is because after it specifies the character of that, it'll specify the colors of all those characters. That's why I think times 2 is for. So after we skip that point, then okay, then we can increment which frame we're going to look at next. So that, oh, okay. So it looks like the main goal of this is to figure out the start of address of each frame in that memory region and store it in this frame address array. Okay, so that'll loop over and do that. So once we've got that frame address, I guess we use it later on in the drawing, I guess. Yeah, I think so. Maybe I can do Alt F to search and search for frame address to recall how it's used. Okay, next. That's where we initialize what it is for each frame. Yeah, there's some repair work I do. I can talk about that another time. Okay, and then when we actually draw, that's when we start to get the details of what was at that part of memory for that frame. So maybe I'll quit there. Oh yeah, when we quit the search facility of 11, currently there's some sort of bug. It kind of redraws the current line a bit incorrectly. So what I do for now is I tend to just page up and page down back to the same location so it redraws properly. So if I did a page up, which is Alt up, and page down, Alt down key, it'll redraw that line properly again. I know it ought to be fixed, but yeah, sometime later it will get fixed. So draw the PETSCII frame. So at that frame address, store that in data address, and then we peek what's there. Oh, okay, so well, that's the thing. I barely remember this stuff. I have to look at the code to remember. So sorry if this is a bit dull. The X position of the frame. So if I had started the the grab tool had that little pointer to say copy from this point to that point. Yeah, so that frame X would be the X location we started that copy of the frame from. Frame Y would be the Y, how many lines down we went from. And then we'd read a width and a height. So when I specified in the grab tool how long this way, that gets recorded next, and then how much height did I choose, that gets recorded next. So yeah, this is just rereading those details out where they were recorded in memory. And I've done some little maths here to just find the like an x1, x or y1, x2, y2 sort of notation. Um, then I figure out the screen address. But yeah, why am I interested in this? I guess yeah, it'll mean I'll need some other logic prior to this drawing that does something similar, looks at the what's there already, this in memory, and then kind of tidies it up a bit for this let's give it a name, I guess. What was a nice name for it? Prepare double double copy layer. Or, yeah, that's a pretty wordy name. For my lines, I tend to double them up in the comment with escape, M for mark, C for copy, And when I paste, I'm a bit nervous because that's buggy too. I tend to go to the start of the line with escape J, and then I paste, and then yeah, I delete back. Just so I've seen buggy things happen. They should be fixed one day, but yeah, no time to repair everything. So yeah, I feel like there'll be similar logic to this. So I could copy this, escape M to mark, and we can grab these details and I'll copy them. So I'll get all that X, Y, um, width, height of the frame sort of information. I'll do escape P to paste that here. So I'll be retrieving that sort of thing. And since it's iterating on this frame index thing, I feel like I'd be doing that for frame index equals 0 to whatever the max thing was, which I've forgotten already. I'll just save that. Um, that was, where was it? In it PETSCII frames? Max frames. Okay, max frames. So if I go back to prepare double copy layer, max frames. I wonder if I should do -1, maybe. And because we can indent here to make things a bit more readable. Okay. Alright. Okay, next frame index. Okay, that gets us our X, Y width height of the current frame. And we want to, and maybe if we don't have time for this tonight because I'm tired, at least I can put like a to-do of what we want next to do. And I can finish this another time. At least you get the gist of what I'm hoping to do. Copy each row twice into some location in 5200 from memory. So I'll put some dummy code in here for now. So I would probably go along the Y from Y equals. Actually, maybe it's good if I take those X, Y, the X1, X2, Y1, Y2 sort of. I'll borrow those two. Them there. So Y equals frame Y to frame Y1 for X equals frame X to frame X1 and whatever, I guess we'd be copying this twice. Copy it someplace in 5200 with an offset. Next X. I suppose if we want to copy it twice, we could just be cheeky and copy paste all of this. Or if we wanted to be more polite, maybe we'd make another. K equals 0 to 1. Alright, let's be more polite. Next. K, so we're copying that twice. And we're next Y. So yeah, it'll be something like that. So that'll put it in some location at that point, bank 5 to 2000, sorry, 2000. Then later on when we draw a PETSCII frame, currently what's happening, it gets those same X, Y width heights of where it is in bank 4, but probably instead we'd have to point it to some location in this bank 5 now, so probably this will have to change. And yeah, once we sort that out, yeah, I think that's enough. I think you get the feel for where I'm up to, and you'll probably see what I end up with. I'll commit it into GitHub, and you'll see the diff, and you'll see what the result was of that. Anyway, I'll leave it there. I think that's long-winded enough for tonight. All right, I'll just stop the stream. Oops, wrong place. Here we go, end stream.